Our next guest, an incredible story. You're going to love this. I'd like to welcome to the anchor desk, Russ Keith, Operation Airdrop. This is an incredible story. Russ, thanks for taking time to join us on the show.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
Well, maybe a quick boilerplate for everybody watching at home. Tell us a little bit about a synopsis of Operation Airdrop.
So Operation Airdrop, we're a 501c3 nonprofit. What we do is we fly in supplies to cut off areas after natural disasters such as hurricanes. Recently we deployed down in the Burnett, Texas area with the floods in Hill Country and Kerr County and other counties involved. But, just kind of give an idea of what we do. We had 106 airplanes fly in with supplies, and then we loaded all those supplies out on Blackhawks and Chinooks and flew them over. The National Guard helped us out there. We moved about 78,000 pounds of recovery equipment and other supplies that they needed. They'd give us a very specific list. I'd put it out on our social medias, and it just show up. It was pretty amazing. The aviation community is incredible.
So Russ, I'm actually from that area, and I saw all the posts you guys did and all the work you all were doing. Talk to me a little bit about some of the challenges you all faced, because I know one of the biggest problems they had, especially out in the Kerr County area, after the flooding, was that they were trying to bring in supplies, and the military and search and rescue operations were going on, especially from the Kerrville airport there. What kind of challenges do you all face in moving those supplies in and out, while keeping those TFRs and everything else in mind?
So, and that's the big thing, is just trying to stay out of the way.
Right.
Bring in the needs, but stay out of the way.
Right.
We could get squat codes, and if we needed to get supplies into those areas, but we didn't need to do that on this particular deployment. We had trucks and trailers that we were moving supplies up until the guardsman came up to me and said, "Now we know who you are, what you're capable of. We'll fly for you." And I said, "Great," because I'm looking for a helicopter right now.
Right.
There was a cutoff area, Lago Vista. It was about a 10-minute flight, but it would have been about a 3.5-hour drive because the roads were washed out. So I said, "Can you take this load of chainsaws over to Lago Vista?" And she said, "Absolutely." So we loaded up. They reached out to dispatch, got released, did their little, it takes about 20 minutes to do the checklist on a Black Hawk, and they got up, flew away, and delivered them for us. And that was the first mission of many that we utilized the Black Hawks. So it was incredible.
So you all are based up in Denton, Texas, right?
I live in Louisville. Doug Jackson is the person that formed Operation Airdrop, and he lives in Decatur.
Okay. So this, big state, but this also kind of hit very close to home.
It was right in our own backyard.
Right.
Our last one was Hurricane Helene in North Carolina. We had about 200 fixed wing flying out of Concord, North Carolina. Right. We had about 135 helicopters flying out of Hickory. And then there was a North Carolina group that we helped, and we had about 50 of our airplanes, including myself, that was flying out of Statesville. But the helicopter operation, they've split off now and formed their own organizations, so we're kind of sister organizations now. But
with the the flooding in Texas, the impact of that so fresh. Maybe you could share what moments or memories or stories from some of the work that you were doing there. What stays with you? Some of those moments and memories there.
Just a quick breakdown is my wife and I, we were in Boston for the 4th of July. Of course, the 4th is when it hit.
Oh, yeah.
I got a call on the 5th, and it was basically from people in that area. They said, "Hey, can you help us coordinate supplies?" They got a very specific list from the emergency manager in Burnett County, and I said, "Absolutely." I said, I've got a flight tomorrow at 7 or 4 o'clock. I'll get home at 7. I'll be down there Sunday morning. So I got up at 3 a.m., jumped in my truck. I drove down there. It's about a 4-hour drive, so I got there at 7. We set up in the CAF museum building there at Burnett Airport. Phenomenal people. They worked their tails off all week for us. So my hat's off to the Commemorative Air Force and the Lake Highlands squadron down there. They did a great job for us. We literally got the list out that afternoon before I flew down there. Well, I was while I was on a plane heading home, we got the list out. When I got down there Sunday, it was still pouring down rain. We had 4 airplanes fly in full of supplies that were on that list. That's what stands out to me, is the response was almost immediate. Pouring down rain. Monday, pouring down rain. We had like 7 airplanes fly in IFR with that list. The next day, of course, the sun came out, and we had 39 airplanes come in that day. And in trucks and trailers and in cars and all sorts of stuff kept flowing in. And then every day the list would change. They say, well, we need to take this off the list, but we need to add this to the list. So I started asking for pickle juice, of all things. And I was like, well, pickle juice? And I said, well, if you're cramping and you drink pickle juice, evidently it stops the cramps almost immediately. And all these guys were working down in the, they were looking for missing people. So they were cutting away all the debris and trees and that were all tangled up and, just trying to get in under it to see what's under there. And so, and also to clear it out so that when it rains again, it doesn't flood because of all the backup from all that. Because there were piles of debris like 30 feet high. Mm-hmm. And it was just a natural dam, and they had to get rid of that. So we sent about 175 chainsaws. But they started cramping real bad, so they asked for pickle juice. So we put out, we need pickle juice, and next thing you know, we've got 4 or 5 pallets of pickle juice coming in, 4 or 5 gallons at a time. And then someone saw our post who had a connection with Best Made Pickles. And so Best Made Pickles sent us 22 pallets of 1 gallon and an 18-wheeler. And he shows up down there and says, I've got 22 pallets of pickle juice. Where would you like it? And I said, give me a minute. And so I got a location. I said, just drive it over there. And he drove it right into the heart of the need, and they unloaded it there. It's just those sort of things. Just it warms your heart because there's so much agony, so much destruction, and there's a lot of people were hit with their heart when you think about 2 cabins of young girls washed away. We lost 28 children out of Mystic that they all drowned, and it's just. That's the heartbreaking side of it. But if you get your mind off of that and you stay on the positive side, which is the only way to get through something like this, and then you look at the humanity coming from the aviation community, and I'm just blown away. I absolutely love doing what I'm doing, and I hate the reason why I have to do it, but it's got to be done, and I'll stand in that line all day long.
Yeah, I know. Obviously, the people of Texas, certainly we're all grateful for the work you're doing, but maybe but obviously certainly stretches beyond Texas. You were mentioning Hurricane Helene in North Carolina. Can you share maybe a couple other events where Operation Airdrop was there?
So Operation Airdrop started in 2017 when Hurricane Harvey hit Houston. So Doug Jackson, our founder, owned a trailer company, and he loaded a trailer full of supplies and took it down there and realized he couldn't get it to where it needed to be. Being a pilot, he just reached out on the social media and says, hey, this is what I'm doing. Does anybody want to come help me? He had 15 planes that afternoon that showed up down there. And then next thing you know, everybody heard because everybody was putting it out on social media. And then all of a sudden, all this supply started flowing in to this airport where they were operating out of, and they just kept flying stuff all over, those cut-off areas because the flood down there was incredible. And then he was someone called him from a radio station and says, what's the name of your operation? He didn't really have an operation. It wasn't a thing. It was just something they did. And he just said, it's Operation Airdrop. And so after that, he formed the 501c3 and the nonprofit there in Texas. And Hurricane Helene was our 15th hurricane.
Wow. No. Well, obviously, I know people watching this are going to want to learn more and support the cause. What's the best way for people to help or find out about you? What word can we put out there for support?
So you can go to operationairdrop.org. You can sign up as a volunteer or a pilot. And if, volunteering a pilot is not your thing, just hit the donate button. We've pretty well depleted. We wound up spending quite a bit more money than we brought in on in Burn It. So it'd be nice to kind of fill that bank account again, so we're ready to go for the next one. Because the heat of the hurricane season's not here yet. So we have a potential for at least 2 or 3 major storms this year, according to NOAA. So, we need to be ready. So
Yeah.
monetary would be a big help, so we can basically respond when we need to respond.
Well, Russ Keith, we're also very grateful for you and your organization for the work you're doing and continue to do. OperationAirdrop.org is the website to learn more and support this cause. Russ Keith with Operation
Thanks,
Airdrop.
Russ.
Thank you
And
so much, sir.
we do have a booth in Hangar B.
A booth in Hangar B. If you're here at Oshkosh watching us live, check them out. Learn more about the organization. Incredible work there. And thank you so much for sharing the story,
Thanks
Russ.
for having me on.
Thanks, Russ.